Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Aliens Exposed.
How you guys doing? Yes? Good? Excellent. This is Emily Expo.
And this, my esteemed colleague, is Mr. Garret Wang. So Garret, tell me a little bit about the very first time you saw Aliens.
Well, believe it or not, I actually saw Aliens in the movie theater, which kind of tells you how old I am. I saw it with my father, actually. And I remember the experience was truly a roller coaster ride. I was gripping onto the seats for my dear life, basically, because it truly was a tour de force. When I saw it, I absolutely fell in love with it. And then basically I had everyone here at Expo ask me, hey, do you want to come and moderate the panel for Aliens Exposed? I said, sure, I'm all over that. So it was definitely a life-changing moment for me in terms of going to the movies. And yourself?
I had to watch the film probably 5 times before I actually got to the end. Because there's the same scene where Newt falls down the chute and she's in the water.
Yes.
I couldn't handle it. I couldn't handle it. The little girl, this thing is under. Oh my God! So yeah, so that was my reaction. It took about 5 times. I was probably like 20 before I actually saw the whole thing, which is ridiculous, I know.
Gotcha.
But it has since become one of my all-time favorite movies, as I'm sure a lot of you, it also is one of your all-time favorite movies.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
So, just a couple housekeeping things, guys. Flash photography, take your pictures, but if you could turn the flashes off, I would graciously appreciate it. I can't talk anymore, I'm so excited.
Speaking of not talking anymore, this morning when I woke up, I had no voice. At the parade, I was screaming so loudly, like, that I woke up going, I almost called Lindsay and said, I called Emily and said, I have to have someone replace me. But thank God, I gargled with hot water and salt, and I'm talking, and I'm here now.
In your sexy voice,
Yes.
Wonderful. Massive thanks to Travis Shuchuk at Ravenous FX. He's the one that did these amazing props for us, so big round of applause for him. These are beautiful.
Very nice.
Very nice, yeah. So I know that some of you guys are going to have questions for the cast, and we want you to be able to ask those questions. So if you have your phones, tweet to @Calgary Expo, #AliensExposed. We will get it, and we're going to get that to Garret during the panel so we can get some of your questions answered for the cast.
And if we don't get to them, don't be mad at us.
There's only so many hours in an evening.
Exactly. We done?
I think that is
Okay.
it for me. I'm going to say goodbye to you guys now and leave you in Garrett's capable hands, all right? Enjoy the evening.
Round of applause for Emily Expo, everybody. Yes. Okay. So basically, the format of this evening is we're gonna bring all the actors out instead of all at once. We're gonna bring them out in groups. And so, without further ado, let's throw it to a clip right now. Let's see a clip for the first 3 actors. Technical difficulties. Hold, please. That's a Galaxy Quest reference.
Let's rock!
What the hell are we supposed to use, man? Harsh language?
Hey, Vasquez, have you ever been mistaken for a man?
No. Have you?
It is too bad. Guess you don't like the cornbread either.
All right, let's bring out Jenette Goldstein as Vasquez, Mark Rolston as Drake, Ricco Ross as Frost. Yes, yes.
Yeah, baby.
Oh yeah, we're here. We got the Marines in the house. We love that. Goodness gracious. How you guys liking Calgary so far? Good or bad?
I love Calgary in the spring.
Ooh. The snow's, it's interesting, isn't it? Okay, so I guess we could start off with the Vasquez and the Drake relationship. Those two were tight. I mean, you guys really had developed this on-screen relationship, this chemistry. It was almost as if, was the subtext that you guys actually were in a relationship? Did Cameron direct that, you know, in terms of secretly you guys were, was there some type of dating going on, or was it more just a guy-to-guy, buddy-buddy?
No, well, we were, in the script, there was a paragraph about our backstory and where we'd come from. And we had not joined up. We were conscripted from juvenile prison. And we were both serving a life term. And so it was like, you join up or you stay in here for life. And so that created a bond between the two of us. So there was a relationship that went very deep, like a brother and sister. And I mean, that's, but we leave things to, you know, the imagination.
Mark?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we had a long time to train and get prepared for the film and developed a good relationship prior to shooting, and had discussed our backgrounds prior to, but there was always this sexual tension between them because Vasquez was hot. Still hot.
No, he was talking about on the screen. On screen, he was talking about.
Yes. On screen. Now, at the time, Jenette, you were a bodybuilder. Is that correct in terms of your
well,
workout?
actually, no, I got into bodybuilding when I got out of drama school, and I was an unemployed actress in the East End of London, and I was next to a gym, and I'd been a gymnast when I was a kid, and I just got into working out and doing pull-ups, and I was just having a great time. And it had been 2 years I'd been working out, and just sort of coincidentally I was in the best shape of my life, which I've never been since. But and then got cast in the movie, so
Yes.
yeah.
And,
That's
yes,
where that body came from.
You were in amazing shape and sexy as all get out, basically. We all like that. But I would have to say that of all the Marines, Ricco Ross was the most cut at the time.
He had the best abs.
They made Ricco take that shirt off. Or did you do that on your own? Were you kind of like, I'm taking that off and showing everybody?
No, man, I was getting out of hyper sleep. Come on. No, I've been lucky, man. I played and I still do play a lot of basketball, and I think that does the trick for me, even now, man. And you know, X amount of years later, it's still there. Don't dare me, you know.
Oh, wait, are the abs there? Oh my! What? Let me see that, man. Hey, let me see that. I'm gonna get that picture of that. Hold on, man. Oh my God!
And you're doing the Zac Efron.
Wait. Is that painted on? They painted that on before you came out. Can you believe that?
I've always, I've never really, it's been a way of life. Playing ball will just do it for you, man.
I mean, what? I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I am flabbergasted right now. That is amazing. Holy moly. I just... Oh, also, Ricco, I think you had one of the funniest lines in the scene when you said, like, guess she don't like the cornbread neither. I mean, that to me, and everyone knows that happened after she knocks away Bishop's...
That's right.
Right.
You know, it's funny though, because some lines you don't really know when you're making the movie, you don't really know if they're gonna work or not.
Correct.
And other lines, you know, you think are gonna work and they don't work. And that was one of those lines I thought it would work, but I just wanted to just throw it away. And I think that's why it kind of did work.
And that's why it worked. But it was scripted and not improvised, right?
That one was scripted, definitely.
Okay,
that one was
scripted.
But when we were at that table, there were, during that scene, there were a lot of lines that were being thrown in, especially this guy here, I remember, when we were doing it.
Really?
You know, I said something about Arturian Punte, and he goes, yeah, but Ricco, yours was a man. And I replied back, hey, it's Arturian, baby.
That was made up, Mark?
He just threw that shit in.
Mark doesn't remember him making up that line right now, does he? Oh my Lord. So, Mark and Jenette, you guys had the distinction of holding the smart guns, basically, which were essentially, what were they?
We were anti-aircraft
correct?
Yeah.
With a steady cam.
Guns, yeah.
A steady cam, which is used in filming to help, camera operators move the camera around in a smooth movement. That was utilized to create that gun. And was that a James Cameron invention, or was that invented by the prop master?
No, it was Cameron. Yeah,
Cameron
absolutely.
came up with that. Yeah, those were quite amazing to see you guys work.
That was, and I heard later that he actually got a patent because the U.S. Army thought it was a brilliant idea, and he ended up getting a patent.
Well, that is an example of life imitating art, then, isn't it? That's amazing. I didn't know that. The training you guys went through in the beginning, what type of, how rigorous was it in terms of what you had to go through?
Well, when we started out, we had SAS, that's British Special Forces team, who would put us through our paces, and I think we usually had like a 5 a.m. call, and they'd run us 5 miles first thing in the morning, and it was just like being at boot camp. They'd be up your butts, just like, move, 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 move! We'd do all that, then we'd hit the gym for 4 or 5 hours and get embarrassed by Jenette. Jenette could just do behind head pull-ups like they were nothing, and if you notice in the clip you just saw, I did the sissy pull-ups, right, like this, like that's the easy one. But I must admit I look fine doing it. We trained a lot. There was like 3 months of training, and I used to have to drink this amino acid shit that would like bump up your metabolism, so you would just like eat and get bulked up. The real plus was after working out, we got to hit the Pinewood Studios mess hall, which was awesome. Yum. Steak, eggs, whatever you wanted, and you just ate like a pig because we had to all bulk up, except for Ricco, who remained skinny throughout.
And still to this day, Ricco remains skinny throughout.
But to give you a behind-the-scene anecdote, Ricco and I shared a room. We shared a room. And every evening at the end of shooting, we'd hit our room and have a shower and do whatever, and every night we'd get in front of the mirror like, come on,
Posing off. Having to pose off. Of course, Jenette would win, but that's beside the point.
I was not there.
Jenette used to judge. She'd be like, oh no, Drake, no, you
This is what I had to deal with.
I love that. You had a pose off. That's hilarious. Right, but you took showers separately and then had the pose off, correct? Okay. Just the wording, how you came at it, sound like we went back to our room and took a shower and then posed off. No. You each took a shower and then posed off.
We'll leave that to the imagination.
We will leave that up to the imagination.
Leave it up to the imagination.
Now, here's the thing. You guys love each other. We know that. You guys got to customize your basically your armor. You got to put different things on there. Now there's a scene, Mark, where your helmet has all kinds of weird accoutrements, bones and feathers, and what was all that stuff that you had hanging off of there?
Yeah, we were all ushered one day. Jim said, hey, we're doing like a little field trip, and he took the group of us off to the art department out at Pinewood, and we come into this art department room and big table, and it's littered with leather and bones and feathers and all kind of shit and paint. He said, go at it, just customize your stuff. And I ended up picking up some chicken bones and putting holes in them and putting it through my hat. And I had no idea really what I was doing, but it was a really cool way for us to make all those things personal.
Gotcha. Now, I had the opportunity to actually host a bit of a panel in Germany at FedCon, a different convention, which Ricco and Jenette were at. Jenette, you related a story in Germany about when you first went to audition for this role for Aliens. You thought it was a whole different type of alien. Can you please tell us?
I thought it was, they were looking for Americans who had a British work permit. And in England, I didn't have an agent, what did I know? And in England, if you have a green card, if you're an immigrant, you're a resident alien. So I thought that was about that. So I had the wrong idea. I don't.
She comes in thinking this is a movie about illegal aliens. Okay, so we're gonna. And the other thing is, Jenette, you are not Latina in the least. You have no Latin blood at all, correct?
Correct.
Okay, it's Jenette Goldstein. So they actually put some darker paint and contacts.
I had contacts, and they got rid of my freckles, and yeah.
Yeah, because as you can see, she has lovely blue eyes, and not the dark eyes, yes. Nothing wrong with dark eyes, but they changed all those things to make you look more like Vasquez, right? Awesome. Cool. I'm so excited. This is so cool. I can't believe I'm here. Oh my God. All right, so let's go ahead and throw up another clip for the next two. Can we see that? The clip for the next two actors, please? Yeah.
Yo! Stop your grinning and drop your linen. Let's keep this handy. Close encounters.
Right! This is fucking right, man! Now what the fuck are we supposed to do? This is some real pretty shit now, man! Finished. 17 days. You're in charge. 17 days? Hey man, I don't want to rain on your parade. We're not gonna last 17 hours.
I say we take off, nuke the site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
Short controlled bursts.
Oh yeah. All right. You know them as Hicks and Hudson, Bill Paxton and Michael Biehn. They're working. I can't stop smiling. I'm so happy. I'm sorry. I've lost my voice, but I'm so happy. Oh my gosh. You guys, goodness gracious.
I am the ultimate badass.
Michael, let's start with you. Essentially, you were called in sort of last minute in terms of the casting wise, because there was another actor that originally was playing Hicks. Is that correct? And then,
That's right.
okay. So how much time did you just heard it, you got shipped over to England immediately, right?
I got a call from Gail Hurd, who I knew from working on the Terminator, and it was it was Friday evening in Los Angeles. I got called, and it was Gail, and of course I knew about this project, and was somewhat disappointed that Jim didn't see me for it, didn't see me in the cast. I thought I'd done a pretty good job in the Terminator, and I knew it was all going on, and anyway, I get this call on a Friday night in Los Angeles. I'll never forget it. It's Gail, and she just said, "Michael, is your passport up to date?" And I said, "Yes, it is." And that Monday morning, I was on the set, and all that bullshit they were talking about before, working out and stuff, none of it, man. None of it, man. I had on James, I had on his outfit, and I was working. I was on the set, and the cameras were rolling. The only problem about it was that you guys all got to design your vest, right? And Remar had a heart, on his with like a little flower or something in it or whatever. It had a padlock on it, that's right. And I said, and the rest of it was like, regular color, and it was like pink or red, and it looked like a fucking bullseye to me. I said, "Jim, let me fucking change this. I don't know. It looks like a bullseye." But Jim thought he might use some shots that they had already used, and where they might not recognize James. So Yeah, I was brought in.
Just out of curiosity, why was Remar? Can I ask you that? Why was Remar let go? Does anyone know any reason why?
He could probably tell you.
I think everybody knows.
Creative differences.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna say creative differences.
Okay.
That's good. Very creative.
So Cameron way or the highway?
Game over, man.
Game over. Speaking of that, Bill, you have some of the most iconic lines in that film, which have been used in video games and whatnot. I've also heard that you improvised a lot of that. Was Game Over Man scripted, or how much of that was improv, how much of that was scripted?
It really wasn't improvised. Jim had us all rehearsing, and we were doing all this military training before we started. And it's an amazing thing about Jim, he has a photographic memory. I remember we were in those kind of meeting rooms in the mansion of Pinewood Studios there. We were practicing, this is while they were building sets and everything. And I remember improvising that line about, hey Jim, what if I say we're on an express elevator to hell going down? And this was, it must have been 2 or 3 months later, we actually shot the scene, and he said, hey, what was that line about the thing, the going to hell? You mean the express? Yeah, let's put that in here. So I have to credit Jim. And, you know, look at it, we're here because Jim Cameron wrote a great story, and smart enough to hire us to be in the and is a great director. And you know, Michael was able to jump into this role because he had a shorthand with Jim from working on Terminator. And well, I have to say, this is Jim Cameron is why we're here. I wish he was here tonight to greet you good people, but he's deep into Avatar 2, 3, 4, and then basically taking over the world. So, but he wishes you all well.
Well, I think they're happy. They're already happy that they can claim James Cameron as their fellow countryman, being Canadian, right? Now, when you
Let's don't get carried away. All right?
When you guys did, we talked about the decorations and the fact that you weren't able to decorate your armor, but you put Louise on yours, which is the name of your girlfriend at the time and now wife, right?
Louise, yeah. A lot of people think it's Louise, which is kind of bizarre. But yeah, and I think there's like the guy Terry English, who was the armorer and made all the tunics. They were kind of, I mean, all the outer armor. It was a little bit of a Roman centurion look, kind of modernized. And Jim wanted us to kind of, you know, personalize each one, and so I had Louise on there, and I also had this thing that was kind of left over from when I did Lords of Discipline with Michael Biehn a couple of years before. It was also shot in England, and I had the skull, and it says "or glory," and I had a bunch of T-shirts on Lords of Discipline that I'd found up on King's Row, and they said, you know, death before dishonor, death or glory, or something like that. But yeah, and I think I had something written on the back of mine. It said something like "dispose of properly," or I think, or maybe "contents under pressure," something like that.
But the beauty of all this is that he married Louise, and it's still his lady. So that's the beauty.
Hey, applause for that. That's amazing in Hollywood.
Now me on the other hand,
love on the set of Aliens, yeah.
What's that?
Me, on the other hand, I had a heart driven, and I was, you know, they're made of metal, so you got to carve it in. And I was carving the lady that I was going out with at the time, and her name was Heather, but I got to heat and ran out of room. so that's when you see the carving of heat, that's what it meant. It meant Heather.
Remember your imagination.
Right. Oh, good Lord. Actually, there was quite a bit of swearing, Bill, in that movie, wasn't there? In terms of for that era of film, surprising the rating wasn't even worse than it was, I guess.
I don't remember any fucking swearing.
I don't remember any fucking thing. What hole are we playing? What's the par here? You know, they're gonna be wheeling us out in about 100 years, and we're gonna be our heads will be cryogenically frozen, and they'll be asking us about aliens. Haven't you people had enough?
I don't think so. I think 100 years from now, the cryogenically frozen heads of you guys will be awesome. People will still come and watch it, I'm telling you. Oh my Lord. But I will say this much though. I mean, I was talking earlier at the beginning when I was on stage before you guys came out about how I saw it in the movie theaters with my father when it came out. And because it was such a crazy roller coaster film, the one thing that made me not freak out was the fact that you were the comedic element of that film. I mean, you provided some comedic levity in order to just get me through that, you know what I'm saying? Because it was scary, it was action and everything, and everything you did, I mean, everybody in that audience was just cracking up.
Yeah, I played the Don Knotts.
You were there? I wouldn't have put it that way, Bill.
The ghost and Mr. Chicken. Jim used it as a release valve, you know, the comedy relief for that. But
yes.
You know, I was a huge fan of Mad Magazine growing up. I loved Mad Magazine, and I got a call from Jenette that Mad had a new issue out on the stands, and it was aliens, and it had Sigourney on the cover with Alfred E. Newman. I practically ran down to the newsstand to get a copy of this thing. And is it Frank Davis who did the illustrations? I believe. Anyway, I grabbed the thing, I buy it, I'm looking at it in the stand. I'm flipping through it, I'm looking, there's Jenette, there's Mark, there's Ricco, there's Michael, and I go, where am I? And then finally I realized the guy didn't even take the time to try to do a caricature of me, they just put a chicken head. Fuck Mad Magazine! Fuck Mad Magazine!
Haven't read it since.
Hell no!
Did you call the publisher up? Like,
Yeah,
what
I
the?
felt like it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, chicken head. Fucking chicken head.
Oh my gosh. Now, from my experience working on Star Trek Voyager, the show I worked on, we used a lot of that fake. Thank you. Thank you. We used a lot of that fake smoke, you know, and you guys had a lot of that fake smoke too.
We had a lot of real smoke.
Oh yeah. Nothing fake about that smoke. Those were the old days, dude.
Okay, sorry. Good Lord. Okay, all right, so you guys have the real smoke.
Burning trees, baby.
You're talking too much, man. I told you I was going to warn you when you're talking too much.
There actually was a time when you guys were in the APC and something caught fire, and actually it was...
The APC caught fire.
Yes, but the fumes were noxious, right? You couldn't breathe.
They sort of mixed with something they'd aged
Yes.
the inside with
Paint,
it.
yeah.
Paint,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden we
Turpentine or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Plastic smoke was just in our lungs.
Right.
And we just,
And you were choking. One of you was
choking.
looking, was it you, Bill, that looked at Jenette and said, wow, yeah, that's a great acting job.
I thought, what a great improv, and the very next second it's like, I'm a chicken head! Get me the fuck out of here!
So basically, we're going to let everyone go except for Bill Paxton, and we'll continue this with just Bill and I.
Just man in a chicken head, will you? That happened. They sent us to lunch. We all had to, you know, have oxygen.
but they used the footage, of course.
Okay.
And we came back after lunch. Everything's all set, guys. It's all perfect, and the exact same thing happened.
Yeah.
See, don't you love that when they say, yeah, we fixed it, and they didn't fix it, right? The same thing happened. The roof of the APC actually collapsed. Did anyone get injured in that?
Jim Cameron.
Oh.
Yeah, but he's invincible, so it was no big deal.
Put some gaffer tape on it.
But you know, the ABC had these kind of handlebars, like a roller coaster ride that came down and fastened you in. And Jim had been sitting in Sigourney, where Sigourney was going to be sitting, and the thing slipped and hit. I remember it hitting Jim in the head and was like a little oil well just spouting blood. And he had to have about 12 stitches, but it was like he was still directing while they were stitching his head up.
You didn't wrap for the day at that point? You kept going?
No. He grew up playing hockey. It was no big deal.
That's right. Canadians are tough from hockey. They can take it. So Sigourney was supposed to be sitting there, actually.
Yeah. It was just before a shot, they were setting it up, and I think Jim was trying to kind of picture Sigourney's POV of all of us. So he was kind of doing that. The thing came down and just rung his bell.
Yeah, Mark.
But also to give credit to a member of our cast who's not here was Al Matthews, who played Sergeant Apone.
Sergeant Apone. Let's give a round of applause for Sergeant Apone, who's not here.
Because Al had actually been in the service, and what I recall is once it fell, Al went into military mode, and he was like, "Everybody out!" And he was barking orders for real, and moment of panic. But yeah, credit to Al.
Al was the one guy that didn't have to act on stage. He just became himself, and that was it.
So did that help you guys as actors to actually have him there in terms of his military experience? Did that make you guys feel a little bit more, hey, yeah, we're doing it? Yeah.
I felt that it plugged us in because Al was the real deal. He wasn't just acting. And some of the things that would come out of his mouth, you knew that was real shit,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it plugged us all in, and it gave us all the kind of the urgency that it required at certain times. I mean, he told me a story about him after he got out of the war, and he was walking to church with his wife and child, and a car backfired. And within a second, he had both of them head first into the ground and him land on top of them. I mean, he was the real deal.
And I'll tell you, that man could chomp on a cigar better than no one else. I swear to God, that guy was just like, that guy knows how to. That's a good one.
And as we're giving shout outs, I want to give a shout out to one of our, the Marines say they never leave one of their own behind. And Trevor Stedman had a stroke, and it was pretty bad. But the guy's recovering like crazy. And at first he couldn't move half of his body. Now the other hand, the good hand, he's trying to grab nurses' asses. So it's all working out now, and I just want to give a big shout out.
Go ahead.
To him.
Yeah.
So I'd like everybody to say goodwill to Trevor on 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah! Thank you.
He's gonna hear that. It's gonna be. You were about to say something.
I think I was just going to say that Hicks never paid any attention to him.
Hicks never did what? Sorry?
Paid any attention to him.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I guess what I wanted to say was in terms of the camaraderie that you guys developed, did you feel like a unit, other than you coming in very late? But did you bond after you came back to the States after filming? Did you guys ever? Let's meet up for barbecue, or I don't know. How was that bonding process?
Well, I'll speak to that only because Bill Paxton was extremely generous. He would I lived in England at the time, and Bill would call me every so often and just go, "Mark, you gotta come over. This is gonna be huge, dude. It's gonna be huge. You really?" And I was like, "Really, Bill?" He's like, "No, trust me, it's gonna be huge." And so not only did I take his advice, and it sort of paved my way in Hollywood, but I got to stay in Bill's apartment, so thank you, Bill.
Nice.
Bill never called me. No, Bill did call me.
Bill called me up saying, "Are you holding?" Or what would he say? We had a lot of parties while we were making the film.
Yeah.
I remember Mark was a very generous host and had us over a lot, and we pretty much every weekend did something together,
Yeah.
Something we can't talk about now.
One weekend I remember, Michael said he was going to take us all skydiving.
Oh.
And he's going to be on him. And I'm thinking, great. He goes home, he tells his son that he's going to go skydiving. His son goes, no, Daddy, you're going to die. Next day comes, the skydiving thing, it's off.
No more skydiving. Gotcha. Michael, it's interesting because in Aliens, you definitely were considered a hero, a good guy. We really, we love your character. And then we watch you in The Abyss, and we hated you. It was like...
What? You hated me?
I'm just saying, the audience, you played a really good bad guy, is what I'm saying. That's all. That's all.
He was disturbed.
Okay. Sorry. You played a very...
He was a Navy SEAL who was used to taking commands, who was cut off from his
That's right.
command.
Correct.
And was being told that there were aliens in the water, and the proof that they had was a picture of a squiggly little nothingness. That was it.
Gotcha.
And I was suffering from underwater
Dementia?
stress disorder, or whatever they call it.
Gotcha.
So, he wasn't a bad guy.
Okay.
He was struggling to make it work. Didn't work out in the end. Come back, man, come back.
Then watch the fucking movie again, will you? Good Lord.
What I was trying to say was I was trying to pay you a compliment in that as an actor, you were able to move us either way. Disturbed dude or hero who's still alive at the end of Aliens. So that's all.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. I would choose my words wisely from now on.
Yeah. I want to say something about Michael coming into the cast late.
Okay.
The first guy, do you guys know who the first guy was that had Hicks role?
Yeah.
Right, James Remar.
James Remar,
And
right.
James Remar had this kind of gruff voice, and he kind of, it was wiry, and he kind of like went at you. And then when Michael came, it was very, very different. And when I first saw Michael doing the thing, because I was working, Mike Hicks and my character worked together. When Mike first came, I was like, nah, I'm not feeling this. But what I learned from watching him work was Mike was smooth. But Michael was smooth with it. He pulls the audience into him. And I think that's why, you didn't see it at first, but when you put it all together, then you get it.
Less is more. Less is more.
I think the best thing about that character was we were able to make him a reluctant hero. And that really is...
That's a good way to put it. Reluctant hero. Yeah. And you got lucky because you were knocked out with bandages and you didn't have to face the mother alien at the end, so that was a good thing too. That helped. That's quite convenient.
That's true.
Yeah. You're all knocked out and Valium and it was all up to Bishop to deal with it and Ripley. Okay. All right, so you guys, awesome so far. And at this point, let's throw it to another clip and see our next two actors right now. Clip, please.
Carter Burke. I work for the company. I'm looking for a really okay guy. It never occurred to me. It's just common practice. We always have a synthetic on.
I prefer the term artificial person myself. I may be synthetic, but I'm not stupid. Not bad for it.
Put your hands together. Lance Henriksen and Paul Reiser.
It's about to get real again. I didn't know if you would have.
Yeah, there's water underneath all your chairs, by the way.
Look at this esteemed group. This is like the United Nations, but they know less. Not as clever. We don't know what we do. Yes, there's thousands. Every minute we're not here, hockey goes on in here. It's either rodeo, hockey, or us.
I don't know if you guys heard earlier, but they were joking about 100 years from now, all of your cryogenically frozen heads will be wheeled out onto stage for another reunion.
That'd be nice to see.
All right, Paul, starting with you. Everyone knows your career as a comedian. Mad About You, fabulous show that you're on. When you first started training as an actor, was comedy mostly the only thing you really cared about, or was drama something that you really had a lot of value in that you wanted to do?
I was a comedian first, and the first movie, the first job I ever had was Diner, and which was an interesting thing because I had at the time it was the first time I was studying acting, and I was trying to be so clever, and I had this audition for Diner, and I went there and I was going to read the script, and I was going to be all actory, and the director said, "No, we don't do that here. Just we want like as if you're a guy having coffee." I went, "No, that's what I was doing up to the acting class." Okay, but this was a thrill. When I read this script, I thought, "Wow, this is really unbelievable," and it's not the kind of movie that I would naturally be considered for. So I was pretty excited. And you know, it was the kind of script, I'm sure you guys have this experience, when you read the script, you just go, you can see the movie, which is very rare. You go, wow, this reads like a movie. So I know, okay, my part's this big, just don't mess up the whole thing.
Gotcha.
I don't know if I answered your question, but that's what I said.
Hey, that's good. I will take that. Because actually, other than, were there other dramatic roles that came after Aliens that you enjoyed?
Yeah, I did some stuff that wasn't comedic, but none that were frightening like this. None with guys leaking milk out of their fingers.
Gotcha.
Never had that.
Now, I can call you the bad guy in the film, yes?
Oh, you say bad, I say misunderstood.
Okay. Touché, sir. Touché.
If doing your best to keep the company's policies in line,
yes,
and maximize profit, if that's bad, then okay.
No. Okay, you were a Weyland-Yutani company man. That's what you were. That's correct. Okay, I stand corrected. You were misunderstood.
Thank you.
Okay. You did a very, very good job playing misunderstood. I would just want to say.
That's all
yes.
I'm saying.
Yes. Come on. Now.
Thank you.
All right. And also, I think the fact that, you know, these guys went through weeks of training, hanging out, and you coming in, it sort of...
I was jealous. I was jealous because they first of all, they were together for a couple of weeks.
Right.
And they had all these fun toys and guns and clips and things, and I had a little notebook and a pencil. Look at all the stuff they got. I got none of that. I wanted to be like that. Which I kind of thought that was in the back of Burke's head. It's like, oh, I'll never be like these guys. I'll have to do my damage some other way.
But it helped the on-screen dynamic, though, right? I mean, the juxtaposition. I mean, the fact that you were the outsider, the fact, you know, that you didn't train with them.
Yes, exactly.
Yes?
That they shunned me socially.
No.
They would shun me. To this day, look at it. None of them are talking to me.
You know what?
That's how good these people are. They hold character for 30 years.
I just want to say.
That's what I choose to believe.
Paul. All you had to do, Paul, was to knock on Mark and Rico's door and take a shower and pose off with them, and you would have been one of the guys. I'm telling you right now.
Well, the night is young.
Oh my God.
My attorney, Dr. Henriksen?
Yes. I know. Lance.
I was wondering if you were going to get around to me.
I'm coming over to you, buddy. I am. I just want to say, I love Lance. I mean, I love all you guys here, but I love Lance Henriksen.
I took that thing off.
You took that? Look at that. He's standing outside the box. He ripped the whole expo thing off his mic.
I know. I feel a little bit, you know, like a hooker if I have to.
You...
Did I say that out loud? Shit. Anyway.
Why does that make you feel
I'm not Bishop. I'm not Bishop. I'm an actor. Bishop would have never said that. Never. Hi.
Okay, so reading the script, Lance, you knew that you were going to be doing the infamous knife scene.
This is another script that Bill Paxton made sure I read. I mean, he called me once about Near Dark and said, I got this great Western. And I said, really, Bill, what is it about? And he said, it's a vampire Western. And I said, I'll call you soon. I'll talk to you soon, Bill. I hung up, you know, and then I found out it was a great script. Well, this script was great. And the first line in the script was, space, like the love of God, cold and remote. That's pretty brave. That's pretty brave. A lot of people would have put it down right about then. That's the first line. Where do we go from there?
Well, I just want to quickly talk about the pipe scene when you're crawling through that claustrophobic.
Jim asked me, "Are you claustrophobic?" And I said, "I don't think so." And he said, "Well, would you mind crawling through this pipe?" And it was just barely enough to fit in, and it had a curve at the end, and that freaked me out. I mean, I got that far, and I went, "Just keep moving, man. Just keep moving."
Was there an escape at the top? Did you have any outs?
No, there were no outs. And Jenette, you welded me in there.
Vaya con Dios.
Yeah, that was freaky because as the audience, we all thought, "Oh my gosh, he has no out now, right? He's welded in. If there is an alien in that pipe, he's done. Yeah, there's nothing that you can do about that. Definitely." Okay, I got a little message here on the. Boy, look at that, guys. Carrie Henn, ready now. Okay,
so we gotta move now.
We got the message, guys. Okay, so let's throw that clip on the screen, please, for the next actress to come out, please.
My name's Newt. Nobody calls me Rebecca except my brother. Affirmative. Ripley. She doesn't have bedrooms because she's just a piece of plastic. We always said there were no monsters. No real ones, but there are.
All right, put your. Is that it?
Most of the time, it's true.
Oh, God. Can I dream?
Yes, honey. I think we both can.
Put your hands together for Newt, Carrie Henn. Carrie just told me, "You're not supposed to give away the secret that says Carrie Henn now." Well, I'm sort of a statement, matter of fact guy, so just read it out.
But I do want to know, why'd you put me next to the guy who tried to kill me?
Oh!
Yeah, you said trying to kill you.
He's just misunderstood.
Misunderstood.
Yes.
Unfortunate hardware experience.
So after this exhaustive, long search looking for some child actress to play Newt, they find you, and you had no acting experience whatsoever at the time. Just give us a little background of how that happened, please.
Well, my dad was in the Air Force, and we were stationed in England. And apparently James Cameron had looked all over the States and couldn't find what he was looking for. So he decided to go to Air Force and Army bases overseas. And they happened to come to my school. And I was eating lunch in the cafeteria, and usually I went home because I lived around the corner from it. And my mom wasn't there, so I actually was eating in the cafeteria that day. They took my picture, didn't think anything of it, which is kind of weird.
That's a bit odd.
I was like, okay, whatever. And then we got a call just saying, hey, would she be interested in trying out for a movie? So my parents said, hey, do you want to? So my reaction was kind of, what the heck, you know, what do I have to lose? And so I went to try out. We just thought it was like for a really small part in a movie and didn't really know too much about it. And obviously I'd never even seen Alien at the time. And so we went, kept going for auditions and auditions and auditions. And then they called up and said, okay, it's between you and another girl in the States. We're gonna fly Sigourney Weaver out and have you meet her. And I was like, oh my God, the girl, oh, she was in Ghostbusters, that's so cool. I couldn't really concentrate on much of anything. And they called me like a week later and said we had the part, and just kind of went from there.
Well, you did a wonderful job. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you rocked it. You rocked it. Now, can you relate the story of, towards the end of the film, when you actually slide down that one chute and they lose you, that was actually a really fun time for you because...
It was like a 4-story high slide, and there was like a huge, like, I don't know, mattress type thing at the end. So I was doing it, and I would accidentally let go a couple times, and finally James Cameron came to me and he's like, Carrie, are are you enjoying the slide? And I said, yeah. So he said, I've got a deal for you. If you do it right, you can just go down it for like 45 minutes straight, whatever you want. So I said, all right, let's go. And we did it, and I just kept running up and down and up and down and up and down. So it was pretty cool.
Oh yeah. Now, I also had the opportunity to meet Carrie Henn earlier in Germany also, the same one that Ricco and Jenette were at. And what was really interesting to find out from Carrie is she related a story that essentially after filming Aliens, she went back to her school and she was bullied and just teased incessantly because of the fact that she was, which is horrible, you know, and for me, I was also bullied incessantly in Memphis, Tennessee, being the only Chinese kid in my school. And so I could feel, you know, I definitely can feel your pain, and it's horrible that other school kids would tease you because of the fact that you were a movie star, basically, you know?
Well, now as an adult, I realize they were just jealous.
That's it. Yeah.
But at the time, I was 10, and so I was in 5th grade, and girls, they can be mean. I mean, just, you know, puberty hits, and they just kind of go at you. And if you're a little bit different than anyone else, they kind of hone in on that. So, to be honest with you, I kind of just blocked Aliens off. And I had lots of friends who didn't know anything about it. Like when I went to college, none of my friends for 4 years knew anything about it until they did a People magazine article on me. And they brought it in, they're like, what the hell? You never told us about this? Oh my God. But you know, I mean, I was bullied, but it's life, and you know, you just kind of get over it. So. Got you.
You were 8 or, how old were you exactly again at the time?
I was 10 when the movie came out.
10 when the movie came out, but when you were filming you were?
I was 9.
9, okay. Were there any issues with traumatic issues of, as a 9-year-old with all the alien creature? I mean, you understood the difference between, it didn't scare you at all, correct? You were...
No, I have to say everyone, James Cameron and everyone here, they were all really, really good. You know, I didn't touch the guns or do anything like that. The only thing that I have to say was a little bit traumatic was the slime.
The slime?
And it wasn't necessarily on set. It was afterwards. James Cameron offered to get us a hotel closer so I could clean up and wash up and then go back to our hotel. And my mom and I were like, no, we don't want any fuss, don't worry about it, we'll just go back to our hotel. And so we went back to the hotel, and I was in my costume with the slime, which took about 4 hours to get out of my hair. And I had a coat on with the hood up, and I walked into the elevator, and there must have been a ball or something going on at the hotel that day, so they were all like in tuxedos and everything. And so here I was standing there, and they all looked at me and just were like, so it felt, that was the most traumatic part, was I just felt
made up. I remember it didn't come out easily at all.
I have no clue.
It was not good.
And even like the cocoon
asbestos.
scene. It was, but like the cocoon scene, you guys, since I was small, it was like a little hole, and I had to crawl through it and sit on this little thing and like this. And I was scared to move because James Cameron said, this cannot break. Nothing can happen to this. We can only shoot this once. And I accidentally took a little part off with my finger, and I was terrified to say anything because I thought, oh my God, he's gonna be so mad at me.
And was he?
Yeah, he never noticed.
Oh. I'm shocked about that. Doesn't he notice everything, guys? I mean,
you would think, I know. But I think it was like really, really tiny.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you very much. All right, let's go ahead and roll the last clip that we have. Can we do that, please?
And I'll be home for her birthday. Her 11th birthday. Hard to believe there's a little girl under all this. What do you want to?
Did you ever have a baby?
Yes, I did. I had a little girl.
Where is she?
She's gone. Hicks, I'm not gonna end up like those others. You'll take care of her, won't you? I can handle myself. Where do you want it? Bad call. These people are dead, Burke! Don't you have any idea what you've done here? One, make sure that they nail you right to the wall for this. You're not gonna sleaze your way out of this one. Right to the wall.
misunderstood.
Still is. Hi, everybody. This is so cool. This is like the first time we've all seen each other in, I mean, really, maybe since it opened, maybe. I don't know. Jenette.
It is so awesome.
Thank you for bringing us all together. And of course, Monsieur over there. Very good.
At least he's not attacking us.
Not yet. Not yet. We have to answer what he wants us to say.
Oh, well, I'm fanboying out right now. I just want to say that. I moderated a panel 2 years ago with Stan Lee, and I was actually crying for joy on stage when he was there. And I've always been a fan of yours, so if my voice starts to waver, if I pass out, please excuse me. Okay, so thank you for being here. First of all, you look fabulous. You look absolutely beautiful. Okay. So, in terms of the questioning, I would like to start out with, I understand that you were not fond of guns, yet in Aliens you were very, very convincing, wielding a pulse rifle or two. How did you overcome that dislike of weapons ethically and mentally from that standpoint?
Well, I think Hicks was a very good teacher. But you know, I'm a little embarrassed to say this. It sounds like I don't prepare, which I do try to do. But I was very busy, and I had 5 days off between movies, and I had read the script. But I'd read it, you know, it's such an experience that I'd read it like this, you know. And I hadn't maybe read all the stage directions, and it really wasn't until I got on the set, I think it was really the first week, and it's suddenly a huge paragraph, which I shouldn't have skipped, all about the guns and how I wielded these guns, and I was very big on gun control, and I was so just caught unawares by the Cameron approach to this movie. It was very, you know, high-powered, every kind of gun you can imagine that he designed himself. And my favorite moment, you just saw the clip, was this moment where I had to shoot blanks with the machine gun at the stuntmen who were the aliens. I had to flame the aliens who were dummies, and I had to shoot bazookas at some other group. And I'm just astonished. We would do these long takes that I didn't flame the actual stuntmen and shoot blanks at the dummies. You know, they trusted me so completely, I could have murdered everybody. So.
That would have been a bad day on the set after murdering everybody, most definitely. Sigourney, what we're going to do is we're going to interlace questions to you with questions from the tweeting audience for some of the other actors here. At Roberts1 Carrie for Paul Reiser, is it true your mom cheered your death scene?
Again, how many of us don't feel misunderstood at home? Again. It was actually, it was my sister. She actually punched me in the chest. And we got up to the screening, we had gotten along very well for years. And she went, "Oh, you locked her in it!" Boom! I had no idea she was that powerful, and I had to remind her it was fictitious. And misunderstood. And look, she lived. She's fine. Carrie is fine.
You really tried to kill all of us, though.
Again, tried to accidentally. Wasn't paying attention to some of the safety precautions.
Misunderstood. That's a new T-shirt actually for you, Paul Reiser. Misunderstood. Sigourney, in Hollywood, there is an often repeated caveat, which is never work with children or animals. Now, you proved them all wrong with your on-screen chemistry with Carrie Henn. Which I would have to say, in my opinion, ranks as one of the best adult and child actor relationships ever filmed on screen. Could you please elaborate for us about the on and off screen bonding process that you had with Carrie?
Well, you know, here was this dear, angelic, beautiful little girl who I do remember meeting before we shot, with this beautiful little English accent, and then they covered her with grime and slime and just, you know, and I have to say that I think we were very lucky. I just think we bonded immediately because I don't know, it was just one of those things, and
something.
Yeah. And well, she was so terrific too, and how could you not, you know, have wonderful chemistry? But it was one of those very lucky things, and you know, when you've carried around someone with your flamethrower in the other hand for days on end, you get very close.
I should be very happy you didn't get me with a flamethrower.
So everyone should carry around a child with a flamethrower for days on end to have the bonding process. Most definitely. Okay, another tweet from @monkeydog. Well, I'm not going to say the rest of this name. Anyway, it's a part of anatomy. For everyone, thank you all for entertaining us for all these years. Did you get to keep any props? Starting with Mark Rolston, we'll come on down. Did you keep any props, sir?
Yes, I got to keep my hat, my vest, my gloves, and my ex-wife threw them away. I kept them in my living room in my house in England with the bust of my acid burn cast, and many years later a guy offered me like $100,000 for those props, and I called my ex-wife up and, hey Sal, you don't happen to have those? And she assured me that she had tossed them in the trash. She's a great lady.
Ricco? The only thing I kept were the dog tags, and some fan wrote me from high school, and she said, all of my friends are taking characters from Aliens, and I'm playing you. And I was just so moved by it that it was a girl and she was playing me that I sent her my dog tags. So that was it. Oh, I got nothing.
The bromance is just too much for me.
Still going, still going.
Jeanette.
And I can't really remember, but I think it was the bandana and the dog tags.
Okay. Bill?
I had a little tin of old Holborn that Terry English, the armor who painted all our tunics and stuff, he had painted it in camouflage with the name Hudson on it. We were all into hand-rolled cigarettes then. Old Virginia.
Is that what they call them? Sorry, just kidding.
I mean, we were breathing so much toxic smoke on the set, it was like, hey, well, light them up.
Michael.
I got a call one day from a disabled little girl from Bangladesh, and
why are you trying to top my story, Mike?
No, I wasn't smart enough. I didn't keep anything.
Lance?
I have the script. I have the original script I got with all my notes in it. All my fatuous notes, endless notes. And it got very simple after that, but anyway.
Paul?
I was saying in an earlier panel today, I didn't have any props. Everybody had all these guns. And I decided I was going to go there. I thought it was kind of funny to have my little notebook, my little, what was the word? What was Filofax? The Filofax. It was 1985. They had Filofaxes.
You didn't keep that LL Bean vest?
What?
That LL Bean vest?
Yes. But I remember, and that was a choice. I was going to carry this, and I thought it'd be kind of absurdly stupid that they had all this stuff, and I had and the day before we established that, Jim Cameron pulled me aside and said, think really hard if you want to commit to this notebook, because you're going to carry it for 3 months. And I said, well, let's try it, and maybe Bert, loses it in the bathroom or something. Like, oh. But that was my only prop, and I sent it to Michael's child in Bangladesh. Every day she writes these lovely memos to Ricco saying, I like you better than both of Michael and Paul.
Carrie, anything?
Well, I kept asking James Cameron if I could have things. Can I have this? Can I have this? As a 9-year-old, I had no shame. And he just kept saying, no. No. I know, right? Heartbreaking, heartbreaking. I do have my script still. There's no notes, just my name. I had written it in perfect little 4th grade handwriting. I still have, at one point, Ripley finds in my nest the picture of me, and it was like supposed to be 3D, but I don't think it actually showed up right. But the dress I'm wearing in that, I was allowed to keep. And then oddly enough, because, sorry to everybody else here, but Hudson was like, he saved me in the med lab, you know? And so I was talking to the set design, the costume designers, and I was saying something, and really weird, I liked the little skull and crossbones that you had, and so they made one for me, so I still have it in my little keepsake thing.
Aww.
And I did not...
I'll give you $50,000 for that dress.
I'm a struggling public school teacher. I will take you up on that. When would you like to meet?
Do I hear 55?
We'll go higher if you'd like to. Actually, no, it's priceless. It's for my children in case I'm ever, like, destitute, and then maybe they can sell it to me.
Got you. Sigourney, we'll get to you in 1 second, but we have a special guest who's about to ask a question. Can we get a spotlight on Mr. Danny Glover?
Thank you. Hey, Bill, Paxton, I just wanted to ask you, do you ever feel like you're getting too old for this shit?
Sure have tried. Great to see you.
Good to see you, man. Good to see you, Sigourney. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Danny Glover.
Hey, Glover.
Thank you.
I didn't even remember Danny was in the movie. That's crazy. That's where my mind is going.
Sigourney, back to that other question. What props did you get to keep?
Well, you know, Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff, who did the special effects for 2, 3, and 4, I think, they gave me a little alien embryo that I still have in a drawer. It hasn't grown, I think it's safe. I thought it was a strange gift, but I thank them, and I think they've forgotten about it now. I'm afraid to put it in water in case something will happen to it. But I do, actually, my friend Tim Allen, I was doing Galaxy Quest with him. He loves science fiction. He has these things he's spent money on in his screening room. And he put in this big piece of the set from Aliens, and he said, "You've got to sign this for me." So I didn't know where he'd got it, so I put "Stolen by Tim Allen." Love Sigourney Weaver, and he got so mad at me because he said, "I spent thousands of..."
He felt that you ruined it, basically, by the graffiti. Okay. Just starting down the line, I want each of you to just briefly tell me, what is your favorite memory of working with James Cameron? Mark?
My favorite memory is one morning at a 4:30 a.m. call. I was walking through the sound stage, had an early makeup call, and in the distance I could see Jim just in like regular house lights with a notebook, intent and making notes on the set. And it was just the two of us, so I just shouted out, "Morning, Jim," and he didn't budge, didn't hear me, and I was just in awe thinking, wow, this dude is so intense and just so into this movie. It really impressed me.
He didn't like you, Mark.
That's why he killed you. I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding.
I can feel the love all around here.
It's growing, isn't it?
Ricco?
I think one of the most memorable and funniest moments that I remember from Jim was we were coming out of the RV, and I was asking him, you know, when we come out, I think I was leading it or something. He goes, "Do you want me to just turn right or turn left or what?" And he looks at me and he goes, "Yeah." And that was it.
Jenette.
I don't know. I guess the one thing I remember, this was my first film, first time on camera. I was a stage actress, and I was a bit nervous, and I was talking to him about things I wanted to do for the character, and he just kind of said, "You got it. Don't worry about it. I trust you. Anything you come up with, I just got it, and I trust you." And that meant everything to me.
Bill?
Just getting cast to be in the film was pretty amazing. I met Jim in 1980 on a movie that was called The Quest. It was later released by the title Galaxy of Terror, which gives you an indication of the quality of that film. And we were friends, and it was just so exciting. I remember I was going over to, it was Christmas time, and I was going to visit Louise and her family, and I was at LAX. And I see Jim Cameron coming up to the gate and handing off something to somebody who's getting on the plane. I said, "Jim, what are you doing?" He said, "I've been hired to write and direct Aliens." And I said, "Well, gosh, I hope you'll write me a good part." But, I read for the part on the 4th of July in England. And funny, they don't celebrate the 4th of July in England. But, hell, I don't know why. But I remember, this is kind of a crazy story. I was really nervous because the audition was out at Pinewood Studios, and I was staying out in Twickenham, and in order to get out there on a train, I had to go into central London and come out on another line, and I went several hours early, and I ended up having to kind of walk the final mile to Pinewood Studios, and I got there like 3 hours early, and I'm out behind this 007 stage, and I'm looking at the sides and getting ready, and then I go in to read for the thing, and I think Jim had a video camera, and I think Gail was in the room, and the casting director, I think was it Mary Selway, I think it was, and he hands me this, this cardboard mailing, poster tube, and says, "Okay, I want you to do this, I want you to do that," and I felt like I was totally over the top, and I went home and I didn't hear anything, and I had a movie called Weird Science come out. Shed is with us all. And Scott Rudin was the head of casting at 20th Century Fox, and my name came up on a list of about, I think, a dozen actors, and Jim had already been over in England for a couple months prepping, and my name came up, and Jim said, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I know Bill, I'd love to use him." And I got the call, and I was just about to sign up to do Police Academy 2. And, I had to tell you, and I was like, Aliens with Jim Cameron, Police Academy 2. Wow, that's, yeah, well, Aliens, all right, come on.
Michael?
Well, I actually met Jim. Bill introduced me to him at a screening for a movie we did, Lords of Discipline. And of course I had done The Terminator. And so, we go so far back that, like, at least I was never intimidated by Jim. And Jim has got this reputation of being, like, mad, on the set, angry and upset and pissed off, and he's just got a reputation. People are always asking me about it. And the worst it ever got for me, I've never heard him raise his voice really on the set, but the worst it ever got for me was, I can't remember what scene we were shooting, but we got done with the take, and he looked at me and he said, "That's exactly what I don't want." And I said, "All right, motherfucker, give me a line reading, and I'll do it like that. Just, I know you can do everybody else's job on this set better than they can, but you can't fucking act, can you?"
I like that. Lance?
Yeah, I was really nervous going into Aliens, and I over-prepared, like I was saying about the script. I wrote all kinds of issues in it to find out how do you play an android? I mean, I had seen Rutger Hauer and Ian Holmes, and I thought, God, I can't live up to those guys. And I realized, all right, I'm not gonna compete. I gotta find it myself. I gotta find it. So inevitably I realized that I'm gonna play a guy, my life when I was 12. You could forgive abuse in your life, or you could you know you're going to outlive people, so you forgive them, you know, for a lot of things, and so it was like an optimistic kind of innocent character that finally emerged. But I remember I had spent my last money on some sclerals for my eyes that had 2 pupils in each eye. And I said, Jim, you know, I got this idea that when Bishop gets alerted, it goes, and he's got 2 pupils in each eye, he can really see shit. So Jim said, all right, let's try it. So I'm doing a scene where I'm dissecting a facehugger. And I turned back to the guy and I got 2 pupils in each eye. And Jim said, oh, wow. Okay, I'll tell you about it. I'll look at the dailies tomorrow and tell you how it went. He said, Lance, it's out. It's scarier than the alien. I don't want to use this. I'll never forget it.
That's great. Paul?
I was going to say, like Mark was saying, Jim's intensity was so consistent and so palpable. You know, he'd be running from the set, doing something with the actors, and then going over and working with the miniatures, and then like he was just on. And one of the things that always impressed me, and I didn't see this, but I remember hearing it, maybe he told us, at one point, he was writing 3 scripts simultaneously. Do you remember what I think it was Rambo, maybe it was Aliens, and Terminator 2, I'm going to guess. Writing, and he said he had a room, a garage, and he had 3 different desks with 3 different computers. And he would just, whatever mood hit him, and he would just work on this. And he had, each one had music, certain specific playlists that he would write, and certain crappy snack foods that he would eat. And I would go, holy shit, this guy is something. And wait a minute, so out of one garage came all these movies? I mean, that's the kind of incredible genius he is.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. Carrie?
I never saw the intensity, but you know, I mean, he asks, I guess he gives 110% and he expects it, and I'm the kind of person that gives it anyways. I do remember something that happened, and apparently later I found out that James Cameron had gone to my dad and said, you know, I'm working with Carrie, can you give me any tips on making sure that she does what I want? And my dad said, Carrie's great, you tell her what you want, she'll do it. Just, you know, so my first day on set, I was a little bit nervous. I was more nervous because I had to go to the cafeteria and eat, and I was all dressed funky, and I thought everyone would look at me funny. So I got on set, and Ripley and I were filming together, and he came up to me and he said, okay, Ripley's gonna say X, Y, Z, and then you're gonna say your line, okay? And I said, oh, okay, fine. So we start filming, and Ripley said A, B, C, and I just stood there, and they cut. And James Cameron came up to me and said, okay, Carrie, Ripley did her bit. What about your bit? And I said, well, you told me she was going to say X, Y, Z, and she said A, B, C. And you probably don't even remember it, but she looked at me and you said, wow, you're right. So James Cameron pulled me a little bit aside and said, you know, sometimes they change a little bit. That's okay. Just keep going with it. So I'm like, okay. So we never had that issue again.
Nice. Sigourney, your favorite, your most memorable James Cameron memory?
Well, there's so many. But one of my favorites with Carrie, too, was, you know, we'd been filming in this place, the Acton Power Station, for weeks. It was freezing, it was in the middle of winter, and we get to the point where Newt is stuck in this, whatever it is, web, cocoon, and Jim gives me the whole speech too. We can only do this once. And I see these guys putting this thing together, and I'm picking it up, and I say, wow, you know, because I'm really not Ripley, I'm really Wimply, and I pick it up and I go, man, what is this stuff? This is really sharp. He said, come on, it's nothing. And he starts to rip across, you know, starts to rip it apart, and then he rips and rips, and you go, see, I'm fine. I went, okay. And then, so they put it back together, spinning it, and then I do it, and at the end, I'm covered with blood. Oh. Thank you. Because I'm a girl.
You got sliced
Love
up.
how sure he was, and for him it was right, and for me it was wrong.
Got you. We actually have a clip, a message for you right now. If we could play this clip from a special guest. Can we see that, guys?
Hey Sigourney, remember me? I'm the one that killed the entire Alien franchise. It wasn't the last franchise I killed, and it wasn't the first. Anyway, I miss you, girl. I'm sure you're looking beautiful. One of these days I get a big hug and a kiss from you. Ciao from Uncle Henry.
That's nice. When it comes to science fiction, horror, action films, the Academy seems to only recognize the visual effects team. But you were the first to garner an Oscar nod for Best Actress. What were your thoughts? How did you feel when you found out you were nominated for Best Actress?
Well, I was in shock. I thought it was incredible. I don't think I quite understood the significance of the genre getting recognized like that. I was actually in a meeting with producers about Gorillas in the Mist, and what I thought was, oh, this is so exciting that this is happening right now with my producers in the room. It'll make sure that I get this job, you know, because actors think that way. No, but I was very, very honored. But, you know, it's such an ensemble picture. And I really felt, I'm not just saying it, I was representing everyone up there. And, we were really a family, even the misunderstood people.
I want to jump in on that. Sigourney, you are so first class. I remember when we were going to meet Sigourney, and we were again in the mansion house of Pinewood Studios in some big formal, it used to be a formal dining room, and Sigourney was coming down to meet us all, and I mean, it was a pretty big leap of faith. I mean, you didn't know any of us, and here you were coming back to reprise this iconic character. And I remember they had made you some special Reeboks, and you came in, and I think it was kind of the gray jumpsuit. You'd been in a wardrobe fitting or something, and you were so cool. I mean, it was like, wow, this is. I mean, it was, you know, I mean, Alien was already a cultural phenomenon. I mean, I remember where I was all 10 times I saw it, and the other 10 times that I don't remember. But you know, you were great through the whole thing. I had a lot of trouble with that part to play to keep this hysteria going. And I remember, I think it was the day we were shooting the thing, the 17 days. We're not going to last 7 days, and well, this girl lasted 7 days. But I remember I was kind of, hands were kind of on the table, and I'm leaning forward, and I just remember you reaching over and just putting your hand on my hand, and it was like, oh yeah, okay. I'm not facing a firing squad. You were great. You were great, and it is amazing, and it is a testament to your artistry that you were recognized in this incredible role. I mean, you really turned it into an art film.
I really. I really appreciate it even more now because it hasn't happened since to anyone. We have to do something about it. I just want to remind our wonderful group here that every time one of them died, and that was quite often, I would give them a bouquet of flowers that morning.
Oh, God.
My favorite one was giving it to.
You know what? I think
you got
all
a
of us
wreath
probably.
instead.
His were dead, I think. I gave you dead flowers.
Ricco?
I think Sigourney does have a huge heart. I think that's part of her success of why people are drawn to her on the screen. And I think all of us probably have a story like Bill just said. My story was, the film was over. We're in Hollywood. We had the premiere there. We go back to her room, and we have our after party.
That's right, because we didn't have a party.
Right, they
That's
didn't.
right.
Yeah.
She has the after party in her hotel room.
Right, the studio didn't do it.
Now, at the time, my wife is in England and I'm over there, and I just felt like this is so great, I want to share it with her. Sigourney grabs a bottle of champagne, takes me into her bedroom, gives me the phone, call her, don't worry about it. the studio's paying for it. And let me talk to her. You know, and all of us probably have stories like this. Thank you.
I remember your mom and dad were there that night, and they excused themselves early while we kind of partied into the night. I remember your dad saying, "Be sure to drink all the bottles."
That sounds like him. I don't think my mother knew what to make of that movie.
Even though you were the one who got the Oscar nod, I will have to say, in terms of watching films across the board, every single one of you guys, you rocked it as actors. Every single one of you actors. Seriously, I mean, no joke. You know, and that's rare. That is very, very rare, because oftentimes, well, almost all the time, you guys know, you watch a film, you got some actors that really, they came, and then you got some other actors who phone it in, you know, and then you got some other actors that just stink, that they were cast because they were dating somebody, you know, whatever. But you guys, literally across the board, every single one of you, in your own special way, really did a fantastic bang-up job. Yes? So, applause to yourselves, for sure.
Throw something in as well. I only found out recently, and certainly today, the intensity of the fans of this movie. And it's like, I kind of was late to the party and realizing, like, wow, a lot of people really love this movie. I was talking to some guy, I'm sure he's out there today, and I said, very casually, he said, "Oh, I watch it every Saturday morning." Every? So you've seen it 6,000 times? And it's probably there. And the thing about it is, you know, when you see it, it becomes so easy to watch because it's so well done. And think of how many craftspeople got to do this. It's all the actors, but Jim's vision and every editor and sound effect and stagehand. So many people put so many hours into making it. The fact that it still resonates and works for everybody is a huge testament to that.
Very well said.
Michael. One thing that I'd like to say too, that this film has that very few that I have done have, and that is fans that approach me who weren't born when we made the movie and say, "Aliens is my favorite movie of all time," or "Hicks is my favorite character of all time." That's a real testament to the movie.
That means you guys rocked it. Okay, we have another tweet from @HappyBlowfish. For everyone, you get home, you open the door, and are greeted by a Xenomorph. What do you reach for first, Mark?
My nuts.
Thank you.
Some of the kids, Mark. You know, someone had asked me a similar question about a Xenomorph before, and I thought about it, and I was thinking all the clever things, and I finally came to the conclusion, I know just what you reach for. You bend down, you reach for your ass, and you kiss it goodbye.
Jenette.
Smart gun if I had one.
Bill.
Another drink.
I like that. Michael.
I think I reached for that shotgun that I keep back here for special occasions.
So sweet.
Lance.
Yeah, but it's a dry heat.
Lance comes up to me before the thing and he says, "We're gonna answer every fan question with just a line from the movie, and just see how that goes." Paul.
If there was a Xenomorph, I would reach for Sigourney Weaver.
Oh, good answer.
So, yeah. I think you have the wrong number. Hold on. It's for you.
Carrie Henn.
Well, I didn't even have a notebook and pen. All I had was my scream. So that's probably about all I would do and run out of there.
And it was a good scream. That it was. Sigourney.
If it really came into my house, I would reach for the seltzer. You know, that's all I would have.
Okay, gotcha. That might work, actually.
It's also good if a clown shows up in your house. Yes. Banana peel, that'll do it.
Sigourney, of all the Alien films, which performance are you the most proud of, and why? Of all the different.
Careful how you answer that.
Exactly. Look around you.
In Aliens, of course.
Yes.
It was actually such a beautifully written part with so many different parts to it, such an amazing arc and such an amazing ensemble, and just the story of someone who comes back, their time is gone and they're kind of an outlaw trying to fit into society with all these misfits. But no, I mean, I just think that he created such a great, almost operatic story for us all to play, and I think it's because of those high emotions that people get so involved with it still, and that it can reach a younger generation. It's still relevant because it's still so much about people you can relate to.
Yes. I would have to say that James Cameron is quite groundbreaking in that he really did showcase powerful female roles where you just didn't see them before. Whether it was from Jenette Goldstein's Vasquez on the front line with the biggest gun next to Mark Rolston, or even a brave young Carrie Henn, and of course yourself. You know, did you guys realize how powerful, for the ladies, this is also Stephanie Chan's tweet, did you guys realize how powerful of a role model that you guys would become for the ladies? Jenette?
It amazes me because I get girls and women my age, middle-aged women, coming up and telling me how much the role meant to them, and that they never saw women like that up there. And I mean, I agree. I mean, when I read it, it was like, also you didn't see these sort of working class people portrayed as heroes, and not just the women, not in a patronizing way, like, ooh, look how brave she is. Ooh, look how strong. You know, you were just there, you were just doing a job, and to me that was the most groundbreaking thing there was, that he wrote these women, mothers. They all were mothers, including the queen, and that was the story. The fierceness of what a mother would do to save her child.
Thank you.
I had absolutely no clue.
Okay.
I went to work, I did my thing, and it's still kind of, this is like my secret life. It's kind of bizarre to me, and people come up to me and say, oh, I've watched you all my life, you're amazing, and I think, me? Really?
I wished when I was a little girl, I wish I had a character like that. I mean, when I was a little girl, I pretended I was a boy, because those were the great characters, and if to see a 9-year-old portrayed like that girl like that, that's fantastic.
That's the theme that runs through all of Jim's movies.
Yes.
There's this whole woman empowerment theme.
Yes.
Every one of them. I can't think of one that doesn't have that.
Yep.
I do have to say though, like as a girl growing up, I always kind of look to your character and to you as a person, because I think you're kind of the same way, like just kind of girl power, It was like I could do anything that I put my mind to doing, and it was kind of nice to have that as a role model to look up to.
Yes. And also, before you answer, Sigourney, I just like to say, I mean, just because of your portrayal in this film, you really did pave the way for my job in terms of having first female captain in Star Trek. Was the captain on my show, Kate Mulgrew, who played Captain Janeway. She really, without you kind of paving that way, I don't think that would have even existed in a way. And there was actually an episode of Voyager where Janeway goes into Ripley mode, and she has 2 phaser rifles with her, and she's running down the hallway, and she, takes off her shirt, and it's almost identical to Aliens in a way. You guys remember that? Yeah. So, did you know how much of a role model you would become when you were doing this?
Well, I have to say that during this time, 1986, and I felt that women were finally going into the armed forces. They were finally getting jobs in a lot of sectors where women weren't allowed to work, including in the movie business, and in all kinds of real jobs, you know, like mending high wires and, you know, police and telephone repair people. And I felt that I felt like Vasquez was so out there and such a trailblazer, and Ripley was very much sort of every man, woman, you know, I felt like I was I felt I was a working person trying to do my best. And I must say, I never thought of it as feminist. I thought of it as finally movies are reflecting the reality that we see in the world, that women are moving into these fields because these characteristics of courage and fortitude and self-sufficiency are not unique to men. They are. and finally, here's a director who just says yeah and just tells it like it is. So I guess I didn't realize it was groundbreaking, and I'm sorry that it's still groundbreaking, because I feel like he's still one of the few who really puts it out there like that. I mean, you know, now in the world, women are doing everything, and hopefully we'll have a woman president next. But I felt we were reflecting this new exciting world where women and men were really equal and worked alongside each other, and with all of those tensions and frissons and all of that captured beautifully, I think, in this movie, you know.
Garret.
Thank you.
Garret,
Yes, Ricco.
Can I add to that? I mean, James was ahead of the game then, and he's ahead of the game now. But not just with women, with diversity. If you look at Aliens and you see that there was a Latina, you had a couple brothers in there, you had female heroes. Even the baby in there was one of the sole survivors of what was happening. I mean, the guy was so ahead of the game. And when I got this part, I had also been offered a role in Full Metal Jacket, and yeah, thank you. And the role was 8 weeks, but it overlapped 1 week. And James says, "Listen, I'll let you come here 1 week late if Stanley Kubrick will release you." And Stanley Kubrick wouldn't release me, so I had to choose. And I said, "James, I gotta choose, and you know, I really would like something. You know, I really would like." James had only done a one movie that was really of note at that time, and Kubrick was Stanley Kubrick, you know, and every actor wants to work with Stanley Kubrick. So it was a hard decision for me to make. And James said, "Listen, Ricco, I can't offer you one of these parts, Hicks or Hudson, but I wrote the script. I'll rewrite the script, and I'll write you a good part." And I said, "All right, I'll take you on your word." I get the script. Who dies first? I came to James. I said, "James, yo, we gotta talk, man." And he said,
You know, they're still filming Full Metal Jacket.
That was 2 years they shot that.
I said, "We gotta talk," and he said, "Listen, this is a role about a woman that has to do this, and you're 6'3", 200 pounds. I can't have you around. I gotta get rid of you, man." And when I read the script from that perspective, it all made sense.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Over the years, I've done some of these shows, and I can't tell you how many times over the years, active duty Marines and Army guys have come up to me and said, "Hey man, do you know why I joined the Marines, why I went to Iraq, why I did all these things? Because of the guys that were in the Aliens. I joined the Marines because of Aliens." And they meant it. They really meant it.
Yeah, very good.
And I would just like to say I get that a lot too, and I consider that a double-edged sword.
Gotcha. Okay, we have time for one last question, and I'm going to ask all of you guys in one sentence. What would you say was the best? What are the best words of advice that you've been given in your life, either career or life related? Just starting from you, if you could throw that out, Mark.
Well, it was my father's advice when I told him I wanted to be an actor. He said, "Never change your name because your grandfather would roll over in his grave." He said, "Be true to yourself," and he said, "Never do pornography."
Words of wisdom.
You did anyway.
Ricco.
This is an easy one for me, I guess. I think, you know, I've had a really fortunate life. I haven't had a lot of tragic things happen. But, you know, when something does happen to friends of yours and you hear about it, one friend is something quite tragic happened, and she said she realized that don't sweat the small things. And in life, a lot of times there are a lot of small things, and you sweat them and you make them big things. So I think that, you know, the big advice I got from that was, you know, yeah, don't sweat the small thing. Life is good, man. And it's what you make it.
Thank you. Jenette.
Oh my God, I feel like a Zen master here. I don't know.
You can pass if you want.
Bill said, take your time, I'm thinking.
God, I don't know. I just think about my dad, and he would just, I'd always say, it's not fair, and he said, life's not fair. That's hard as a lifestyle. And that was just, be grateful for, for what you have in your family and your friends, and just, life itself.
Thank you. Bill.
Keep going, Jenette. That's good. I'm getting there. I have to throw it to my dad too. My dad was my hero, and he always said, "Don't worry, don't hurry, and take time to smell the flowers along the way."
That's
Good
awesome.
advice.
I like that. Michael.
Again, I would quote my father, I guess. Also, he said two things to me, and that was, one is don't sweat the small stuff. And when you get knocked down, get back up. And that's the best advice I think I've ever gotten.
I like that. Lance.
Oh boy. People always ask you, what's your favorite movie you did? And I always say, the last one I did. And I remember a lot of conversations over the years, and a friend of mine, a couple of years ago, as he walked away, he turned and he said, his salutation or his goodbye was, be kind. And that stuck with me. Be kind.
That's a good one. Paul.
I think the career thing, this has sort of been proven to me over and over again, it's just the idea of say yes. You're scared of a role, jump in. You're scared to make a choice in a scene, say yes. Now there's a disclaimer, it's like some things in your body says, I don't think I should do that porn movie with Mark Rolston. You have to make allowances. But in general, I'm saying gamble on yes.
Gotcha. Thank you, Carrie.
Mine's probably from my mom. She's given me a lot of advice throughout the years, and it kind of came to a point where I was at a fork in the road. Do I try to be normal, or do I maybe pursue an acting career? And I just remember my mom said to me, we will support you in whatever you do, whatever you want to do, but just remember you can do anything. And I've kind of taken that and go big and go home.
Fabulous. Thank you. Miss Sigourney.
Mine's a very tiny, quick story about a very much-loved Canadian actor, Hume Cronin. So Hume and Jessica Tandy were, I feel so fortunate to say, they were my mentors, and they invited me to go on this vacation, and we were going to go snorkeling. And I had very long hair, and by the time I spat in my mask and got my hair and put everything on, and I was the last one in the water, and I plunge into the water, and there are all these bubbles, and finally I can see, and about 10 feet away from me is this enormous barracuda that's like this. And I just went, and then out of the void comes Hume with his long hair and his Hawaiian spear in his hand. Like Neptune, literally, comes right over. He grabs my hand and we swim right up to the barracuda, and it kind of goes, and then it goes, psh, gone. Now, I've never forgotten that. That was such a great lesson for me. And it's true, it's just like, say yes, just go for it. The barracuda will swim away and it won't scare you anymore.
Words of wisdom. Thank you. Oh my goodness. Okay, guys. I just want you guys to put your hands together and just thank these wonderful actors, these wonderful people for joining us this evening. Mr. Rolston, Mr. Ricco Ross, Miss Jenette Goldstein, Bill Paxton, Michael Biehn, Lance Henriksen, Paul Reiser, Carrie Henn, and Sigourney Weaver. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, come on, let's see the stage now, everybody. Yes. If we can stand there for a second so they can get a photo of all of us together, that would be fantastic, everybody. Arm in arm, just a photo for everybody. Get your cameras out. Here it is, your photo op. One photo per person, please. Carrie Henn wants to give her phone to someone to take a picture. Will someone take a picture with Carrie Henn's phone? My goodness. Oh my gosh. Thank you. And thank you to the fans. Without you, this would not be possible. Thank you guys.